Okay, we recording?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So, um, just for the record, what I was saying before was um, I fell afoul of quite an interesting um, uh, brain fart where I put in an example piece of data that was actually different from the real data, and because it was in the system prompt, boom, it used that and was hallucinating. So
Yeah.
that's done. Just know.
Yeah. So we need
What you were saying is
tooling.
about seeding, though.
We need tooling that auto checks or preferably auto generates so that we don't end up in this situation where we're just back in the old days of programming.
Well, just after I dropped out there, I was thinking about that, and so the value of the this traceability 10 has been in the production of the planning bot, dispatch bot, JSON retriever bot architecture, which
Okay.
seems to be behaving itself, except when I fuck up or I don't understand, what it's saying.
Right.
Now, it could be with How, which is really quite good at generating bots now. It could be the next step would be for me to essentially toss all this data, because this is all just generated,
Mm.
and use those bots only in order to regenerate the entire thing.
Yeah. That's where I think we want to get to is this because if they regenerate, it's guaranteed consistent.
Yeah, but also I'm getting into some, as you're saying, old kind of school, bug hunting,
Yeah,
which is
that's
not where
death,
we want to
man.
be.
No, that's
And
death.
down to like the location ID, route ID mismatch on the sys prompt, it shouldn't be able to happen.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even need to consider that. So maybe that's the thing. I mean, that's a couple of days. Well, maybe it's less actually. It's getting pretty fast. It's probably about half a day to actually do it, and then about a day and a half or 2 days to actually check to see whether what it's doing is right. It's the checking's the pisser bit, because it will generate some really good stuff, and I can show you.
If you get a reliable
Level of it.
generator, if you get a reliable generator that we can trust, and that's hand checked, then what you use it to generate should require far less hand checking.
Yeah, it's almost like you want a god bot, and all the god bot does is raise red flags and maybe smite.
Like you're
So the
talking,
search.
so that's different. Like you're talking about when you're at runtime, you're also having another bot that's always checking that the output was right, as well as the fact. So if you can increase the quality of your generation at the
Sorry.
start, if you increase the quality of the assembled sort of system that's being produced, that's one way to reduce errors. But you should also have something that's running all the time, checking for errors as well. But
Yes, previously had. I wasn't actually thinking about the Godbot. I was thinking that at the compile time, as opposed to runtime, and it has a whole bunch of angels,
right.
test bots.
So like at
That just
compile time, the seed is like
yeah,
brutally exercised with all
and
this
really
extra
expensive.
baggage, all this
Yeah,
extra baggage that checks and checks and checks everything that it does, and then once it's past checking, then you take all you're at showtime and
yeah.
you run it without all the checks. That's what you're
And you've got
saying,
a bunch of test box stroke angel bots. I quite like the
right?
God angel thing.
Oh yeah,
And all they're doing is
let's not get
every
too. um.
all the test bots are doing is
Okay. No, I like that
if
idea.
there's something changed and they only look at the change, is like, is that agreeing with the good book, as it were?
I like
Because
that
we could use
idea.
that.
So all those checks, anytime there's a fault in the running system, you can just rerun that query with all those checks, And like it's a bigger problem if all those checks don't pick it up, because now you need to change those checks. But at least you've
Right,
got this
right.
a
But
pattern that's better than you
yeah,
hand picking.
yeah. But again, this is an interesting thing. This is really quite an interesting topic. So, if for us to go through the usual planning, dispatch, drone comes up with an answer. Testbot looks at the answer and saying, sorry, red flags, boom, boom, boom. It can explain its reasoning,
Mm,
and then go without the user knowing back to the drone and saying, you got it wrong here. Because
mm.
quite often, what I find is, as a user, it does something erroneous, and I just say, nope, that's wrong. Try again, and it gets it right. So then there's, Testbot
So
can just say,
there's a
nope,
chance for
there's no reason.
some live self correction if
Right.
testbot kicks in and is like, no, mate.
Yeah, and what you need is obviously some kind of control on the number of loops that they go through. So if
Yeah,
the test
before
bot and the
like
drone,
the
yeah,
emergency system kicks in and says,
right,
sorry for the
and it's like
inconvenience.
we can't figure this one out, and then that's
Yeah.
a red flag, and then it goes up to the admin god
Mm.
layer.
Oh, I like this pattern a lot because I don't like debugging. That's a waste of
It's
time.
horrible, especially when you're dealing with the difference between location ID and route ID. Right? I mean that is low level
That's a rookie
shit.
error. Like that's an
Yeah,
error that a machine should have been able to pick for you. It's hard for a human to spot that, but it's a machine should be in place to
yeah.
watch
I mean
that.
it took me 3 hours to spot why the hell it's
Yeah,
hallucinating.
I know, right? And that's the time hole of programming coming back right there. So
Yeah,
okay, so you make this sort of like a test suite that's like it's like being audited by the IRS or something,
yeah,
and every action you take is highly scrutinized. Only when all the scrutiny has passed, then you can run it without those expensive checks. And when there's a bug, you
right.
fire up
And
the
how
test
would
bench
how
again.
would see that happening? Yeah, how would see that happening? I'd probably use how. Um, and make sure, because Hal's very good at making sure my thinking isn't erroneous, or at
Right.
least it's self-consistent. It might be completely incorrect, but it's self-consistent.
Mm.
Um, and use Hal to generate a whole bunch of laws for this database. By an example, we have a thing called a customer.
Yeah.
A customer has a thing called a location. A location is used in a route. A route has thing called like an event loop, as in we're actually going to do this on this date,
Mm.
and if we get that list correct, we can do it in a sandbox, hopefully quite quickly. If we get all the rules correct, then those rules are always there. You can go back and check.
Yeah.
And you can check on two levels. You can check at the whole system level, because the system level is still coherent. But also you can have test bots that just take what's just happened and saying, does that apply to this subset of rules that must be obeyed above everything else?
Mm.
Has what just happened correct or wrong? But also then can give advice in the background to the drones and saying, you got it wrong, man. Try again, and then keep checking, 3 times, say, and then if it
Right.
doesn't get right on the third time, boom, 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 up, and there's an error, and probably an error somewhere
Right.
in the the thinking of the user, potentially in the data. But the data should be the thing that is the least wrong. The most noise in the system is definitely me. Um, uh, with a close second to bots, but bots put in noise. They tend to like play tunes on it, but other bots are pretty good at catching up. What bots when they're talking to other bots, as far as I see, if one bot talks to another bot, even though it's played tunes on the grammar and the order of the semantic order of an instruction, the other bot kind of gets it, mostly. and occasionally there is noise added in that, but not much, because dial the temperature down, add the tokens up, and it usually gets it. And by usually, I'm probably getting that kind of error maybe 1 or 2 hours of actual botting. So it's quite rare. More often it's that I put in at the top of the hopper something that is ambiguous, and I've not spotted it because it's quite subtle.
Right, so we need something that can deal with that level of detail. Like, so I have a linter, and the linter goes through and spots the tiniest of errors in syntax and things like that. I think we need like an
So it's a
equivalent.
little bit like that, only a linter for semantics, perhaps.
Yeah, where it knows that any tiny, minute detail will amplify out later.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's sounding like some good structure.
It is. No, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm task switching now. Then I'm going to put this is going to be Twisted 11, where I'm going to be leaving behind this test data set completely. I'm going to be, with the knowledge of the architecture that we've now got, I'm going to be talking to how to try and get the architect bot, let's not call it bot, God bot, architect bot, to talk through what the rules are, knowing in the back of my head what we've already got. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, and so on. But let's see if we can regenerate this from scratch just by seeding, and then get a bunch of test bots, and only then do we put it onto planner, dispatch, and retrievers. Don't know how long it's going to take. A few days. Definitely, I think, because
You're breaking up, buddy. What's your data usage at?
Oh god, I hate technology. This just always gets in the fucking way.
I'm sitting here kind of idling, basically.
No, this is
No.
it's idling. It's like 2 megs down, barely 1 meg up, and it's all in the headset. It's got to be quality service. It's got to be. It's the only thing left, but I can't do anything with quads on Starlink. I've looked.
Well, the Euro should be managing your quads for you, provided it's the only, so long as no one's connected to the Starlink Wi-Fi, your quality of service will be fine.
Damn it! I've removed the bridge, but I've not actually disabled the Wi-Fi. But nobody's here. Nobody's up. Everyone else is asleep.
Could be just devices, you know. I mean,
it could be.
Who knows?
Okay, well, that's an excellent to try. Incremental improvement and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so where we at? You're going to have a shot at that. I'm going to fucking... God, this is the most grinding fucking programming task I've ever had to do. But, it sort of works. It just doesn't work nicely, I guess. And it's hard to...
Need an AI.
Yeah, I know. That's sort of... Yeah. I know. So yeah, I got logins going well. I got session resume. I got all that going. The issue is that HAL sessions. Do you mind? Can I just show you? And I just.
Oh, have you been using V02 for HAL?
No, I haven't used any HAL yet. I'm still dealing with the protocol pieces of it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if I show you it? I think it might help me if I can talk through it a bit.
Yeah, sure.
I guess. Where the fuck are we? So,
HAL V02 is definitely becoming my plastic friend who's fun to be with.
Okay, well, I don't know how it's going to help me just now, but...
Probably not. But, Okay, where are we at?
So this
Okay.
part is the bit that I've been implementing.
Uh-huh.
Um, I've got this side of things going nicely,
Mm-hmm.
which is where anytime you say you come in with a browser, the browser is represented by a machine. It generates a key pair to identify itself with. You can have
Yep.
arbitrarily many sessions. If you hit refresh in a page, your session will be preserved. Um, when you restart the browser, so long as you didn't dump your application data, the machine is still persistent, and so it carries on. You have your data and your stuff there. Um, I've not done the actual GitHub login, but I've simulated the process, and it
Mm-hmm.
works pretty good, except for the quirk that you can't yet share or merge machine actors. So each machine is currently a unique actor. So if you come in with a different browser, you're going to be treated as a different actor. You can still log in with GitHub. You can't sort of combine all your other machines in one,
So
but
it doesn't
for
have any kind of way of merging that outside of
no, no, but
GitHub. Okay.
in the interim, you get a special power where you can see every other user, so you can sort of see all your other sessions as a subset of all the sessions ever. Um,
Right.
so there's that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Uh, obviously, I need to fix that, but that's a later thing. And then the issue is that developing the pattern by which any kind of app gets made, and the app needs to have a notion of an actor, and each actor needs to have a notion of a session. And the thing that's been causing me the pain is that a machine session is unrelated to an app session, because you might come in with S3 dealing with HAL in S1, and then I might come in as actor 2, and you and I can both connect to S1 and we share that HAL session. And so there's really no relationship between.
There's no chain. Well, there's no unique chain.
There's no. Yeah, yeah. And so, like, how do I tell this one? How do I tell Hal to make a new actor and then make a new session without it being just an explosion of complication? And so I
Well,
keep
you can only
getting
do
these.
that if there's a one-to-one. I mean, that would be the kind of brute force way of doing it, wouldn't it? It's like let's record the chain all the way back, and it's a one-to-one. But what you're saying is S1 needs to have more than one at the end.
Yeah. I guess my doubt is I'm like, man, did I overcook this thing? Because this is like a general model for what any app can use to have an idea of identity and sessions within our platform, allowing a person in a browser to have multiple browser sessions. So I don't really know the
Mm.
answer to that, and I don't think we'll know for sure until the end. But like, on the one hand, I'm sort of paying the price for shortcuts I took in the past, and on the other hand, I'm trying to take more shortcuts now, and I'm like, I keep having to fix things that I shortcutted, and then
Yeah. Well, from the you're going to hate me for this, no. From the
I
user's point
promise
of
it won't
view,
be just that.
from the user's point of view, what's the value in being able to go between devices and get the same session that you've got? And is that hugely valuable?
Uh, um, maybe not, but that's why I haven't implemented that feature, because I didn't. It's certainly not a now kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah. So if we said there's a one-to-one connection between S1 machine actor home super HAL actor one S1, would that simplify things?
Um,
Because that kind of makes
Nah, because that's like,
Intuitiveness.
because you, all the time I see you fighting that, where you're in the platform and then you lose your browser tab, right?
Yeah, but I've only got one. Okay, so
That's what that experience
I'm
would be
just
like.
I'm just riffing on this. Okay,
Yeah,
so the way what would be helpful? So I've got browser tabs on
right.
different sessions. It's like if those browser tabs can talk to each other,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
right,
That'd be fantastic because there goes cut and paste.
right.
If I lose a browser tab, I just want to be able to respin that browser tab up, that session, that S. Um, well, okay, your naming is off because S1 and S1, you've got two S1s that are different things. But your HAL S1,
This is the guy who
um,
missed the route ideas. Okay, yeah, okay, some hard diagrams.
but if you know my machine dies or
Yeah,
it borks out,
yeah,
what I want to do is to essentially go back to where it was and have none of that work lost. So in that situation, I would have a browser tab conceptually linked to an instance of HAL.
there. So
And it's like,
these ones, the orange ones, are all instances of hell.
right, right. So those guys persist because of the persistence layer.
Yep,
And if my machine dies, what I want to do is log in and say, I would like to talk to Hal. Here's my sessions. That's the one. Boom. Back up where it was. And
right.
it links back in. And you can also talk to, effectively, as far as I'm concerned, these are all browser tabs. I want one browser tab to talk to another one. You know, I could say to machine S1, tell machine S2 about this output. Now, it's not actually machine S1, it's all the way through.
Yeah, so that would actually be within this session, that would be further threads coming off it for the multiple bots that were all talking amongst each other.
Right, yeah, yeah. But there's the surface bot, the one that I talk to, and then
So you
there's
talk
the
here.
background bots.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then yeah, sure, you can have any number of bots behind the scenes, dispatchers and drones and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I'm talking to is HAL Actor One S1,
Right.
and Chrome has decided to do that really fucking irritating thing where it goes black screen. So I
Yep.
need to, reset the memory. Then I want to pick up where I'm at,
Right.
and then if that chain, that one-to-one chain was there, that would be very, very helpful. Because I can pick up
Yeah.
where
Okay.
I've dropped
So I
off.
mean, over here, you would have been talking to S1 using one of these browser tabs,
Yeah, yeah,
and then if it crashed for whatever reason, you would have an affinity with S1 where you start talking to S1 again, provided you didn't clear your application memory in your browser.
yeah, yeah. Or
Right?
even if I did, say if I moved to another machine, machine two, say
Yeah.
start up
If
a
you
new
had a
browser
machine
tab.
over here, you would be able to identify or authenticate that you
Yeah,
are indeed actor one, and you'd have access to all
yeah,
these
yeah,
sessions, and you'd pick one, and then you'd
yeah.
start talking to that
Because
again, right?
that would be golden. That'd be absolutely
That's the
golden.
that's the piece I'm building, and then additionally, it was no extra effort to allow me to also talk to your S1, S2, S3 if you let me, so that I can see what you're doing at the same time, and I can type things in directly if you let me.
Oh, is that almost freebie? You're saying no extra
Freebie,
effort.
yeah, freebie,
Ah, nice. That is nice. That is nice.
freebie. So that the idea was that we can sit here in VR and both be working at
Talk
our
to the same
respective
bot.
computers, and then it's like it's a shared session. So I
That's
can see what you're typing and doing.
that's beautiful. That is definitely kind of a guilted, as in GAILT, uh, function. Um,
Okay,
but
that's the thing I'm
that would be
struggling for.
awesome.
That's what I'm working for. because
Um,
there were some cheaper ways I could have gone, but they would not have allowed that type of functionality, which I consider that the essential functionality. That without that, it sort of sucks.
what, for us to work on the same session, the same bot?
Yeah,
Um,
just because, well, that whole bundle of features, like I can't really deliver you the ability for you to switch browser tabs and house sessions without also for free getting the ability to allow you to switch it with another actor.
well, you can't get better than free, right?
Right,
But
right. But
yeah,
it's the issue is, or the complexity comes from doing it at all. Just that
yeah.
doing it just for you is complex enough. I
Yeah.
think I've
The
got it sorted, but it's just so much fucking around.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of use cases that are really valuable to me.
All right, great.
Um,
That'll help a lot.
so
Yep. Tell me. Hit me.
right, take this as my session. Now imagine in the world we've got one further out, one further out. So we've now got three users.
3 actors?
Um, no, no. So I'm counting a user as the guy who's like,
A
messing around
session.
with, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
So
you've
three
got one
humans.
machine and what? 3 humans.
Yeah, three humans doesn't. I'll
Are they
right.
all
The
acting
thing,
as one actor?
yeah. So let's say we've got three customer agents,
Yep.
all working on the same source of truth, and we've got the
Yeah,
whole merge
in
thing that we
this
talked
model,
last time.
3 customer service actors would be 3 actors in here.
Right,
This is
right.
this is the source of identity for the whole system.
Exactly. So what we're saying is, if you imagine the screen, multiply it out by three towards us. So now you've got kind of 3D space
A
with actor one,
3D
actor two,
acetate.
actor three. Yeah, 3D acetate. Yeah. It'd be cool to see that. So I'm working on S1. Now that's
Yep.
really, as far as I'm concerned, that's all there is. But it's not actually all that is. I'm doing something. When I do something, then we've got all that, merge thing that we talked about last time. But
Yep.
also, when I'm doing something, it should be reflected in Actor 2 and Actor 3, which is
Yep.
actually over here. If my laptop dies for whatever reason, then I want to be able to go back in and not lose my work. So I want to say, actually, machine 1 is just being crushed by my pickup, right? So I'm now on machine 2, and I authenticate, and I want to be able to pick up. As far as I'm concerned, this is S1. It is really this S1.
Correct. Yep.
So this machine is now squashed. I buy a new machine,
Yep.
boot it up, log in, and I want to be able to pick up S1.
Right.
And I don't want to lose any work because of that.
Right. Right. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah. And I'm just saying the importance of that, of course, is the sessions moved on
Right.
because we got actor 1, 2, and 3.
Right. That's all moved on. Yep.
Yeah. And so
Yeah. So
this S1 has to take into account saying, "Hi, Dave. Not seen you in a while. Right, there's been a few changes."
yeah. So the thing, the source of truth would be this object here, which is the root branch. That's the main branch for the app. So for the CRM, that's the ultimate source of truth for the records. You work in this branch, and you each time you start working, you pull.
Right. So this is
That's master.
That's the master, and we were previously talking about. I was calling it event logs, but you give a very interesting way of reframing that as the to-dos. But the to-dos have access to, sys prompts and so on, and can reload
Right.
it up, and then essentially boot up when you've got machine 2. Bang, bang, bang. Does this session exist? Or perhaps machine 2 has never been seen before.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. But you're still dealing with the same sort of.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted it like that is because it allows you to audit all of the activities of Actor 1 across the whole system. So by making all of Actor 1's actions be segregated into these sessions, you can know what Actor 1 did, all the merges that it did on the master data source.
Yeah, but also there interestingly enough, in these sessions there can be hanging merges, right?
Yeah, merges that haven't been completed or they're left open, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's not available here because that's the source of truth.
Right? That's the source of truth. Yeah, these are all just branches off of that source of truth, and they can periodically pull that source of truth in to update themselves, and their job ends when they can do a merge back into the master.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but typically what it would be is that S1 would start yet another branch, which is just a task or a to-do or a mini sort of a job to be done, where the planner bot kicks in and all these other things change, and then that thing gets merged or tries to merge back into the main branch.
Yeah. So where is, let's talk about hanging merge then, which is a topic switch.
Like you switch task and you're like, I'm going to park that, I'm going to do something else, right?
Yeah, I'm halfway through talking to Hal on a really interesting thing, my personal Hal.
Yeah.
Really interesting thing. I've spent an hour on it, and a reversal from my laptop. Go down to Home Depot, whatever, get a new laptop.
Yep.
Start a new session, and it's like all the way back here.
Yep.
What one is that pre-merge, that merge candidate.
Yeah.
Still be there.
Yeah. It's like nothing ever happened. It's like nothing happened.
Right.
Yeah. Years could go by. Still there.
Yeah.
Untouched.
Yeah. Cool. That would be quite awesome, because that effectively makes the tin layer completely irrelevant.
That's the point. Yeah. The tin layer needs to be irrelevant. But what you can't lose is your ability to prove your identity using either an Ethereum wallet or a GitHub login to start with.
Yeah, sure, but that's down to personal admin, right?
Yeah.
There's loads of ways that other people solve that.
Yeah. And then the idea was that this is just a model of one app. There could be arbitrarily many apps like that, and your machine could have sessions in all of these other apps. So what I was trying to develop was the pattern by which any app should follow this standard, so that the identity system of Artifact can, through a small group of protocols, be able to interact with these apps in a standard way. That was what I was trying to get to. Because otherwise you end up fucking making a different way to interact with every other app, and
that makes sense. That makes sense.
And it's all a bit of a pain. But the upfront cost of the very first app has cost me more than I had ever imagined in terms of fussing around getting this architecture right.
Yeah. I can.
And when speed comes into play, that's where it starts to get like, this works if you don't care about speed, but when you care about speed, this starts to become, that's where the time
but also,
goes.
There's some really cool things here, right? Machine one kicks off a whole bunch of sub-bots working away. Maybe it takes 20 minutes. And then your machine dies, and it's like, fuck.
But I mean, absolutely,
still getting done.
That's still working. Yeah, some of these jobs I expect can take days to complete.
Well, yeah, and also we've got the whole kind of dispatch model where we can get really cheap tokens if we don't care. It's like, come back in 24 hours.
Right. So, the batching model. So taking advantage of all of that. The idea is that this is supposed to be a very light layer, and this is heavy business over here.
This is ephemeral.
Yeah, temporary, transient.
Yeah, exactly. And your tab is no different from your laptop, right?
Right.
Your tab can crash, your machine gets squashed.
Right. But the concept of an actor is what I think needs to be permanently recognized in the system, because being an actor is what I want the standard for apps to follow. The apps
So
have this.
where's this actor stored then?
That's well. These are all branches in Artifact. The red line simply denotes that these are virtual in that they are modeled within Artifact, but they exist out of Artifact. They exist on other hardware that we don't control. But on this side of the red line, our consensus mechanism rules.
All right. Okay. Right.
And
So
so
that's
we
you're going into
untrusted,
deadlines.
trusted,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and we model what's happening in the untrusted world in our trusted world using these branches to represent
And
it.
is there a one-to-one relationship between this actor and this actor?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this is your doppelganger from here.
This is from Hal's point of view, following the um, multi-user app design that I haven't even tested because I'm still building it. But Hal treats you as uses this actor ID as your identity, and
Right.
so
So is that like a runtime version of this, or
sorry.
these? Is it the case that it's just the ID passed through, and you've got a separate actor one here, which is only linked through the fact that it's got the same ID,
They
or is
are
there a
they are
separate
linked by virtue
link here?
that they come from this repo, because the repo has a
Mm-hmm.
cryptographically secured ID, and a sub branch within that secured cryptographically secured repo is, for example, home, which is the main branch, actor 1, machine 1, session 1. How has been set up to recognize this repo ID as the source of truth for identity. And so when S1 says, hey, Hal, I'm actor 1, it trusts that because it can see where it came from. And
Yeah. Okay.
it's
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense.
it's
That
like
makes sense.
according to the provisioned identity provider, or the directory services, to use an ancient name, of the system, the directory services provider says that yes, this person is actor 1, and you can use this stable ID to represent them within the HAL boundary,
Got
which
it.
is an independent app.
Got it. So effectively, there's almost like I was about to say merge, but there's these two are essentially the same thing, even though they don't talk to each other, just because of that loop of authentication.
They represent the same thing, but that's all. HAL can rely on this for permissions, so that, for example, if you come in with a new machine and you cause actor 2 to be created, which you have to do in order to be able to use GitHub to prove that you're actually actor 1,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to, once you go to merge your ephemeral actor 2 back into actor 1,
Yeah, because you can squish those together, and then you just
yeah,
revert to.
you need
Yeah.
to, if you were doing anything in HAL as actor 2, you also need to do that same squish here. And so HAL will only allow that.
No, yeah. Yeah.
HAL will only allow that if the identity provenance checks out.
Okay. I mean, all this sounds a huge ball ache to do, but
You have no
sensibly.
idea. This is the worst fucking ball ache I've ever had in programming. This is like so annoying because you see how easily you can talk about these things that sound simple. You're like, oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
actor 2, we'll just squish
Yeah.
it over there. And you're like,
Exactly.
yeah,
I mean,
but
what we got? We got like six, 7 types of things there on the screen. It sounds very sensible. Yeah, small number, but yeah. Well, all I can say is better than you than me. But the more useful thing would be: is there anything that you're swithering about whether to bother doing? And if you can express
Well,
that in way
yeah.
the user
Um.
level is going to care.
Yep. Was anything that we covered there sounding like something you don't care about?
No, really, no. I mean, it's all good stuff.
Right, but is it good? Is it needed now?
No, the basic what would want is the ability to pick up an old session if Chrome kills a tab.
Yep. So that's the minimum. That's the minimum
Yeah,
thing I'm shooting for. Because I'm like, well, what's the
yeah.
fucking point? Like, I'm trying to get you this platform so that you can save some time, but I'm like, the cost of doing it in a really shitty way that doesn't give you that recoverability. I thought it wasn't worth the shortcut, but now the fucking, let's call it the
Yeah.
proper
Well,
way, has taken a lot of time.
yeah. Well, I'll describe the things that I really care about, and then you can do a
Yep.
diff.
Okay, tell me.
So, it's really irritating that tabs can die, and then it's gone. It's
Okay,
like
so when the
that's just
system's
a
up,
loss of work. That's like not
yep,
having a save button on
yep,
word processor.
all your work will automatically be saved. You will be able to recover it, not just in that tab, but between machines and between sessions with HAL, where you can jump around depending
It's a
on where
little
you're
bit
at.
like Google Docs, right? It's the difference between
Yep,
my phone, and 5 cell word processor and Google Docs.
yep.
So but that's usually valuable. The second valuable thing is to be able to get tabs to talk to each other, so you don't need to do the cut and paste. And
But
it
tab,
is
yeah, so that's not actually being implemented as tabs talking to each other. That's being implemented as
oh yeah,
branches.
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
Uh, well, I'm just only from you people always and all this is like oh, I'm back. Am I back?
yep, you're back.
I'm back. So I'm just to explain it just at this level. The rest is kind of a given as far as a naive user is concerned. So having one tab talk to another tab is really quite useful. So, for example, having
Right.
the planner bot be able to instruct the dispatch bot on
Yep,
another tab,
yep,
that's fucking wondrous right there.
right.
And
Yep. So that's the
third,
that's the
yeah.
bit that I could have dumped all this identity management and just given you that, but I'm not sure how I would have given you the recoverability part.
Okay. Oh, right. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I could have given you that. I was thinking of giving you just that, but then I was like, no, you need the recoverability, and that's when I got into the quagmire.
Okay. Well, on my let's say a pain scale, my grimace scale, when I lose a tab, it's like fuck. It's a real gumption trap. It's like time to go outside and
Oh,
just
right. That's like an
scream
abrupt
at the sky, that sort of thing.
killer.
The
Okay.
fact that I need to cut and paste between tabs is like a huh. So we got a fuck and we got a huh. Okay. Now, if a tab could go and talk to, could generate, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm only talking in these terms, if this tab could then generate other hidden tabs, which are effectively bots, go
Mm.
off and do all this good stuff and come back, and I only
Yep.
have to deal with this,
Yep.
that's like nice.
Okay.
And then the fourth thing, of course, is persistence. So if I forget to charge my laptop, it all goes down. I can just like spin back up and go, right, where were we, guys?
Okay.
So in
Yeah.
real simple terms,
So right. So I'm
that's the useful
delivering
stuff.
you all of those features as one lump. I could have delivered you some without the other. I could have
Well,
delivered you
your
the
partnership because as you're saying, you don't want to hack it and then just
yeah, because I'm like, fuck, man. If I
yeah,
just fucking hack it, and then you're like, the next thing we got to do is have users in the CRM, and I'm like, if I didn't, like, I'd be unpicking work.
Yeah, no, that's no. I know. I'm personally, I think you're doing the right thing because, as per our previous conversation, I'm getting closer to the goal on the NL side.
Mm.
And so if you delivered like, one or two of those four things just asked for,
Yep.
it wouldn't actually speed me up.
You reckon? Okay. Okay.
uh, it would slow you down because you'd have to make compromises. It
Yeah.
wouldn't really speed me up.
Right.
Um, so it's like
Okay.
almost like an all or nothing on those
All
four,
right. Well,
maybe
fuck,
three.
man.
Yeah,
I really, I mean, I was hoping to have this done today. Even that's how close it's. That's how close it's at. It's extremely frustrating to be so close.
yeah. Tell me about it. I thought I
Oh,
was like about to deliver a CRM, and now I've got to write a Godbot.
yeah, that's what happens. You're like, it's just fucking, it's just false dawns everywhere. You're like, oh yeah, 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 oh nah. Like the
Keep
other week, I
buttering
was
on
like,
KPO.
I'm so close, and then I was like, oh no, I need DNS.
This is why really interesting software is very rarely written, except with some kind of sleuth master over a whole bunch of devs who are doing a death march. It's just because keeping an eye on the ball and keeping your fucking effort up is really fucking hard, man.
Yeah, it's
It's
really
hard.
hard, dude. I gotta say, this is the hardest I've ever found it.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, well, look, it sounds like you're not sitting there thinking, "Gosh, I wish Tom would just drop some features and give me some
No,
stuff."
no, no, no.
Um,
Actually, quite the opposite. I'm thinking probably quite selfishly, fuck, I really need to get these bots sorted out, and I hope Tom doesn't deliver his stuff because
like
they're
you're hoping against my success. Oh no. Okay.
just to avoid the social awkwardness of, oh, I've been working and here it is. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, but my fucking stuff is still up on the ramp and two wheels are off and I've
yeah.
got the
But
carburetor out.
the point is that this tool is supposed to, like, what I'm most interested in giving you and getting from you is how to make the tooling to make bots. That's really the gemstone I'm chasing. Like, I'd prefer to be involved when we don't know what we're doing because that's what this tool is supposed to be used for.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Like,
you're going to love Bot World.
I
I tell
am
you what,
so gonna love Bot World. Bot
it
World is
takes,
gonna hate me though.
there was a, there was years ago, okay, this is an old bit, way back in 93 this was, when I first did programming for Nintendo. And the manual was a direct translation, a really shit translation from kanji. And that was
Oh
it
no.
on an assembler. And I remember the first paragraph, and I don't know whether it's mistranslation, but I remember this. It started off saying, programming for Nintendo requires great peace of mind. That's the very first thing on the technical manual. It was like, oh shit.
So we're in trouble, fellas.
That's like,
We're-
programming with bots requires great peace of mind.
yeah, we should put that as the opening quote because it's subtle, eh? Like it's not. It's frustrating that the bots demonstrate so much promise, and then to actually make them do what you want is an exercise
Oh,
in
it's easy
patience.
to get to 80%. Easy to get to 80%. To get to
Yeah,
98%, really hard. To get to
really
five
hard.
nines, fucking hell, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But it should be, um, well, everything I've seen, the way the architecture that we're going down, which is effectively a bot as a function that can talk to other bots in NL, I think
Mm.
that's really strong. That's the kind of fundamental of it.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for the pep talk. I'll keep going with what I'm doing.
Well, it's not really a pep talk. You're still taking too long, but don't actually speed up any faster. because I'm not ready
I
yet.
promise you, I'm going as fast as I can, possibly, possibly faster than I can, and the wheels are about to fall off. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay, all right. So, and that's so that standard model, I really do think it's valuable making a statement about how we think apps should be made, because you kind of want to just sort of start with a template, like when you make repo 2 or repo 3, because when you're here in this machine, you can make whole other installations and control them any way you like. And so by building into this platform a way that every app you make is by default multi-user, multi-session, then you sort of you make it easier for everybody to, like the app is by default multi-user, whereas like today's apps, multi-user is not. Multi-user is a massive pain, huge pain.
Yes.
Multi-tenant, massive pain. And so we've got multi-tenant, multi-user, multi-session, and multi-app all running together.
Yeah. And disposable apps, and so effectively an infinite number of apps.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, crack on then.
Fuck. I'm so tired, dude. Like, fuck. I'm so fucking
Can
tired.
that thing you just said? Do it.
Yeah. I'm doing it.
No,
I'm
you don't.
doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I won't even tell you the next thing. What we can do just for shits and giggles at the end. I was thinking the other day, what would be really fantastic is, so you've got your session at the user here, and it's going all the way up and down here and making changes and so on. And then you realize halfway into it, you've made a horrific mistake.
Right.
And then undo on an entire session, even though it's committed. I think would be
yeah.
awesome.
So we can do. There's two ways you can approach that. You can either roll back and then like undo, but that'll undo all other merges that happened. Or Git has a built-in feature called I forget the name. I think it's reverse, and
It's
you
like
can
undo and remerge.
no. It's a
No?
commit. It's a commit that is the exact opposite of another commit, and so it'll only reverse the things that commit did. So you can have back out. That's called back out.
Oh, that sounds similar.
And then, so
Awesome.
even if you had other things that had been merged in the meantime, you can do back out to nullify the effect of the erroneous commits. Of course, your issue may be deeper if other things had been altered by these other commits, but you can work through that.
So that's that. So I'm not going way off trail here. So I'll give you an example, right? Say if S1 here is Godbot. I'm trying to spin up a new system.
Right.
Okay, so it's like, yeah, happy with that, and
Sorry.
happy with that. We're starting to build up a system here,
Mm.
and then we've got the God talking to the test bots. Test bots probably talking to other ones, and so on.
Yeah.
And then I realize, actually, I'm gone down a rabbit hole, but I've only gone down a rabbit hole on this test bot. This test bot is not doing something right.
Right.
Can I undo just the trace bullet of everything that this has done? So if you think about the hierarchy of merges, this is erroneous. So let's just forget this in history. It's like, it's almost time travel, right?
Did it
modify?
modify? Did it modify the master branch?
Well, yes, but the master branch then needs to update. See, imagine this commits, this merge never happened.
Yep. So in Git, that's called a rebase, where you roll back and then you replay all the commits that happened, but you don't replay the ones you don't want.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so you replay the commits, but you don't put in the commits that you don't want. And so the hash of the tip of the branch is changing, but the commits that you made that you didn't want put in there aren't being applied. Um, However, you got to be careful with that, because if people have depended on something that you committed,
Most of it is. So, this is both now. This should be good. But say if I cover this and roots and that sort of thing, and I really fuck up, and it's all being committed, even back 2 weeks, and you go right. I want to undo all the way back. Then we've got this hierarchy of merges and commits. All what we did is we like this never happened over here, and then you run merges now. Merges have depended on my commit, but it wouldn't be impossible, I think, to raise red flags saying, "Hey, the thing that was created here is no longer there. That's a red flag. Let's red flag it and take action in order to deal with that."
so
But
you actually, what
what you
you're
don't
asking
have,
for is an intelligent backing out.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
yeah, that
exactly,
seems perfectly reasonable to do, and the Git technology definitely supports it. You'd just be going through each merge one at a time and then applying some intelligence before
yeah,
you merged or modifying your merge.
right. And that intelligence knows the entire chain, the merge chain, up to the point where you've decided that you want to take this commit out of the I don't know, so it's almost like the timeline of this entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Imagine that commit never happened,
Yep. You can do that.
and
Yep.
that's going to throw up a whole bunch of paradoxes and weirdness.
Mm.
But how about just telling us what that weirdness is, because
Yeah.
then we can take steps.
Yeah. So
That doesn't
you
involve
should be
rolling back
able
the
to.
entire thing.
Yeah, you should be able to do some intelligence processing that can move forwards in a certain way, and in particular,
Yeah,
for like a multi-record system, the chances that something fundamental got hit by everyone else is very slim.
right. Because if you think about when I was running really big databases for banks and that sort of thing, the choices we really had was if someone had fucked up, you could roll back, the last 4 hours for the last 24 hours, then the next days for the last week, then, weeks for the last month, and then months for the
Mm.
last year. And it's like, we never did it. We never
You,
did
you
it.
never did it because the pain was too
Yeah,
great. But the worst thing is
yeah,
it's a all or nothing type of rollback. It's not.
right. Because you're wiping out so many other things.
Yeah, and again,
Just,
it's the design of the database is a central thing, and so
yeah,
you can't help but blow away everything. Whereas if you can design your database to be branchy, then you can
yeah,
sort of isolate the damage in a way.
yeah. Right, exactly. And if the choice was, right, guys, sorry, I've got this 200-person database, user database, and someone's fucked up a week ago, we're going to roll back a week. Or you're all going to get a whole bunch of red flags, and you need to deal with
Yeah,
those
you need to
locally, and
reconcile,
then we'll
right?
reconcile it, and then we'll get back.
And we're all gonna have a merge party, and we're gonna sit here and
Right,
work out our
exactly.
differences,
Yeah, and then whoever fucked up is going to have to buy everyone donuts,
right?
as opposed to let's wipe out everyone's week,
Right. And
the
then
whole lot.
what's also great is that you can be doing that in a simulated branch to be
Ah,
sure.
yeah, that's right.
So you're doing it offline, so the main system stays, you fork, you figure all this out. Once you're happy, then you merge it back in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's nice. And also that merge itself, if it ultimately someone's missed something, doesn't
Mm.
work, then it kind of fractal wise is the same thing, right? So then you can say, well, okay, we modeled it. Yeah, we didn't get it quite right. And so we can take out some of those parts of the modeling in another model, and
Mm.
then that's a new merge, and then bang. That there's a kind of unspoken thing with big databases in banks and really important databases, in
Yeah.
that they've got backups, but nobody ever restores a backup because it's too much effort versus just trying to bugger on forward and trying to figure it out and like undo in a horrible kind of bitty way forward. Nobody
Right.
ever, not once, ever had to restore a backup.
Wow. So why
Mostly
take him?
because they're on DLT tapes that are sticky and they've been in Iron Mountain for fucking a month, and you got to get someone to turn up and they stick it in, and then it's like 3 days before the backup actually comes. It's way too much effort. It just never happens. It really never happens. Practically, there are no backups for these big systems.
Wow.
It's just a whole bunch of guys, with squeaky bum time trying to figure out what to do next, as opposed to, well, let's undo what we've done.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So that's way in the future, because that sounds it sounds possible, but
Right.
not
Uh,
something I want to
Look,
think about
that's
right
an
now.
essential. I think that we should definitely um, make a bank simulation using a bunch of agents to sort of simulate what people are going to do in a bank and
That would be
simulate
fun.
some
Yeah,
users. And
yeah,
given what you've been playing with these bots, I really don't think it's too hard to make a bot that can generate simulated things and then make them all, in effect, run the stuck loop together, where they all try to do things that they would expect of the system, and then the bot just sort of rationalizes it all to produce this sort of final output. And then if you can do that, then we should be able to demonstrate a fault and be able to get the bot to act like the people sorting out their merge differences to recover from an erroneous commit.
yeah. And the interesting thing about the generating bots, which is what I kind of demonstrated with the Grumpy Scots bit Git bot the other day, um, that was 4 prompts. Dead easy, and it came up with something about right. Now, if
Hmm.
you are modeling a large corporation of 2,000 people, um, it would be a piece of piss to say, right, okay, generate, you know, 2,000 user profiles of one sentence each, generate a bot for each, and give them the permissions and get them to work. I mean,
Yeah,
that really would only take a couple hours.
yeah, that's right. That's right, man. I think we
Um,
can generate these simulations great. And then at that point, you can start to get really useful data that came from a simulation. Like if you simulated 10,000 users, you can present aggregate data that you can,
right.
right?
And
Because
now
you're
you've
like,
got
well,
statistically relevant data that you can actually make decisions on, and you can say, well, what happens if, let's say, if we, I don't know, for sake of argument, had 2,000 users and 1/10 of them always were a bit shit.
mm,
40% were okay, 40% were better, and 10% were brilliant. What would happen if we cut out the 10% that were shit? And what does it mean to be shit?
right.
And then, it's a bit like people hacking, really, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
You
then you
can
can sort
model
of,
that forward.
yeah, you can be trying to stitch together your real data to your simulated data so that you're always like, well, best case, worst case, most likely, all those
Yeah.
kinds of fun questions.
Or another fun question would be, do we really need 2,000 people? Can we get the same effect by having 6 incredibly smart, intelligent people?
Right.
Because remember, I'm off again. Oh, I'm back. Remember that I'm not really making any kind of difference between a human and a bot, because
Mm,
everything is in AI. So it's
mm.
like 6 really intelligent people with these bots actually outperform 1,000 people with no bots, or one bot each.
Right. So
Anyway,
you could actually make a game called Bank Bank Ops, and you could generate scenarios with different sort of types of customer and different events or crises happening, and
yeah,
you as the bank commander have to navigate your your intelligent bank by issuing commands and modifying the CRM on the fly, you can score better or worse than other people
Right.
running the simulator.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And another analogy or example would be a trading company. Now, famously, traders have damn near close, only just tracked, you know, market tracking funds.
Yeah, index
So
funds. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
yeah, it's really, really, tight, and even guys who make a lot of money because they seem to be above the market. That is statistically not anything to do with them. It's like saying someone who's won the lottery is really good at winning the lottery. And so you can say, well, what happens if we remove these guys and we just have high level intelligence being poured in at the top, a lot less commissions to be paid,
Mm.
a lot fewer bank wankers, and probably the performance will improve because now you can tweak the how each of these bots are behaving in a way that you can model, as opposed to how do you tweak a workforce. It's like, well, you can only really fire, hire, and incentivize, and punish. So much slower.
Mm.
So yeah. Anyway, we're getting into way ahead of ourselves on this sort of thing, but it's interesting.
It's close, man. Honestly, once we can get into into botland, like the platform performance we can deal with, and it's really just a case of, well, these tools we're talking about, big simulators, banks, they're really not that they're not that hard in AI land. As you say, getting to 80%, no problem. Getting to
Yeah,
100%, that's harder, and that's why you need to make it like a game and a simulator and like a distributed effort to solve and optimize and be
yeah,
better, right? But 80%, man, you can get there. You can definitely make bots that model the problem. Like they can be the problem better than anything else out there, like be a problem customer.
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Exactly. And the only reason it gets harder as you got the percentile is that you get to local minima, the local minima problem. But local minima doesn't really apply if you're, just trying to get from can't absolutely do it at all to do a pretty good job of it.
Mm. So you could
Um,
actually make a bank and then have like a simulated customer, and then you just work on your CRM model for the bank until that one customer was happy and wanted to stay in all the different simulations that a customer goes through, or all the
yeah,
different sort of forces that act upon them. And
but
then,
also the model is the same. Getting to an 80% model,
yeah,
I think, would be almost automatable.
right,
Getting above 80%, you
right,
get
right,
into the 90s and that sort of thing. Then you've
right,
got local minima, and you're
right.
going
But
to
you're
say make
still,
a change.
even
Yeah.
like, even at your 80%, you still might be better than the huge buildings filled with people
Oh
that,
God, yeah,
right?
absolutely,
And
yeah.
you're
Can you
there.
imagine a company
Um,
that springs up from nothing and is 80% efficient on day one? Like,
that's pretty good.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
good.
anyway, that's my thinking. I better go.
Mm.
Uh,
But I
get
think
the
that's
dogs
how
out.
I think that's how these apps have got to be made. We got to make simulated users and simulated problems and make the bots figure it out,
Well,
not
absolutely.
us.
But then also, because of the variance in the AI, back to my favorite piece of maths ever, we can run Monte Carlo through it. So
Mm,
you have 2,000 simulated bots that are simulating the various actors and so on. You have the model, throw it through once, throw it through twice, let's throw it through, 20,000
right.
times and wait for a
Yeah.
convergence. And
Yeah.
now you've
Right.
got any change that you want to make to this, as long as you're willing to pay for the compute.
Mm,
You've got a probability and assurance that this is better or worse.
right.
That's completely impossible with people. I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's simply impossible,
Yeah.
but entirely practical.
Okay.
And that, yeah. Anyway, I better
Well,
go.
let's get this shit going.
All right, I'm going off to the red coat.
All right. Okay, mate. I'll see you
All
later.
right. Yeah. See you, man.
Bye.